As always, welcome back to the monthly Filecoin community meetup series. I'm Emily and I will be your host today. We have an exciting meetup theme today with presentations from Web3 startups, including PowerLoom, Secured Finance, and Curio. As always, before we begin, I'd like to remind you of the Filecoin Community Code of Conduct that will be linked in the chat for your reference. And by joining us today, we're agreeing to abide by these rules so that we can have a successful and productive meetup. Also, a reminder is that we launched the Filecoin Meetup program as an opportunity for us to gather as Filecoin community members to share all of the amazing projects that are being built in the ecosystem. And as usual, we have a fantastic lineup of presentations for you. But I would like to begin with a few highlights and milestones and upcoming events that are going on in the ecosystem. Just give me one quick second. My computer has decided to stop for a moment, but we are back. Okay. So last week, we announced the Filecoin V13 Hyperdrive network upgrade, which is coming in just a few weeks, and that will unlock a 10 to 25 times increase in storage onboarding rate due to innovations in the Filecoin proof system. With only 7 months since Filecoin mainnet liftoff, there are now more than 2,300 active miners providing hundreds of petabytes of useful storage on the Filecoin network each week. However, this amazing growth rate is actually just a small fraction of the total capacity that the Filecoin storage providers are ready to add to the network. For more information about this upgrade, what it means for storage providers, future work, and more, check out the blog post that is linked in the chat. Additionally, since the announcement, the Filecoin community has been very curious about what this upgrade means for the network as a whole. Therefore, we invite you to join us tonight for an AMA at 6 p.m. Pacific time to have your most commonly asked Hyperdrive questions answered. Be sure to tune in. And as I said earlier, those questions will be available, or you can ask your questions starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time tonight. Otherwise, the network baseline for Filecoin has crossed the baseline target for the very first time. This is an important milestone in collaboration with the block science research team that marks a transition on the path of continued sustainability of the network. This marks a major transition of incentive alignment towards having ever-increasing efficiency of providing storage while at the same time increasing the rewards for participating in the deal market. The phase shift and associated incentive transition together act as a call to action to the Filecoin community towards developing more applications and more business models on top of Filecoin. From these activities, we will be able to build a sustainable transition to the stage where Filecoin has a strong reputation and suite of products over a wide range of diverse markets. You can read the blog post in the chat to learn more about this milestone. Also, as many of you may know, the Filecoin Miner X program launched back in January 2021 and has been an excellent resource as development teams, miners, and clients continue to work together to improve the mining and deal making experience on Filecoin. Because of the success, the second cohort of the program, Miner X.2, kicked off on June 1st. The Miner X.2 Fellowship Program aims to engage a more diverse set of Filecoin miners to improve the experience and productivity of the Filecoin network. Selected fellows will spend the next 4 months accepting storage and retrieval deals, supporting various development efforts, and identifying areas of improvements for the network and the Lotus software. For more information, please take a look at the overview of the Miner X.2 Fellowship Program. And lastly, we are calling all Filecoin miners to help us improve ecosystem initiatives and community support by participating in a short survey that is linked in the chat. And we, as always, are very grateful for your input. And I thank you for your ongoing work to strengthen the Filecoin community. That is all from me. And without further ado, let's begin. First, we are joined by Swaroop Hegde. He is a globe-trotting entrepreneur, founded multiple tech ventures since age 16, and got into blockchain and crypto back in 2017. And he will be introducing us today to his company, PowerLoom. So Swaroop, please go ahead. Swaroop, are you there?
Hey, sorry.
No
I was
worries.
trying to share my screen.
No problem.
There we go. All right. I think it just keeps popping a notification if someone's entering the room. Let me see if I can get rid of that. You guys don't see that, right?
Nope, I cannot see
Okay,
that.
perfect. Awesome. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Swaroop. I'm one of the co-founders of PowerLoom, and we are scaling trust as the first verification primitive on top of Filecoin and Ethereum. So just a little bit of a background about me and my co-founder. So we actually have been building a developer tools company for the past 3.5 years, mostly on top of Ethereum. And in the past 8 months, we've been running a lot of critical infrastructure for most of the DeFi apps that are out there on Matic or what's called Polygon today. And so the idea behind PowerLoom came to us, I think, at a Filecoin hackathon. Feels like a long time ago, but I think it was just like maybe 7, 8 months. And so we were sort of helping a lot of these DeFi projects, and you would constantly see this sort of complexity around how they work. Even though the user experience is great for users, if you wanted to know what's really going on with the protocol, with your data, that would really be complex. And there's a lot of errors happening, and then people have to verify from multiple sources, right? So we just wanted to make that super easy, and that's why we started building PowerLoom. So the goal behind it is what we do is we aggregate all of the data, whether it's on chain, off chain, turn it into the sort of a snapshot. We store that snapshot on storage protocols. So we have a sort of a hot layer. We use IPFS for that, and then we use Filecoin to sort of anchor the information for the older snapshots. And the proof of these snapshots, which is at the moment, it's pretty straightforward, but we want to improve that into something what is called Merkle proofs, and we use those and we store them on EVM chains. In this case, we ended up going with Matic. So what this serves is like sort of a stamp of trust for projects, for their stakeholders, right? So the goal is, number one goal for us is to build trust for the protocols, their stakeholders, whoever they are, right? Whether you're a user, whether you're owning those tokens, or whether you are the developer behind the protocol, and not having to sort of worry about everything else. As a result of these snapshots, we are able to offer these sort of very powerful, actionable insights. So any end user, right, they don't need to really know the technical insight of interacting with smart contracts or like looking at different data sources to understand what's going on with the protocol. And more importantly, we are making it auditable every step of the way. So as of today, I'm actually going to show you a quick demo of a prototype we built. That sort of runs in a sort of a single node infrastructure. You can run it on your own computer as well. But the idea is to sort of even decentralize that fully. So let me walk you guys through. Right, so we built a couple of different prototypes. We're actually reworking all of this. I was hoping to show a little glimpse of that in this one, but no worries. Check us out, follow us on Twitter or something, and we'll probably post that update soon. So we did this with the Gitcoin grants round in, I think in December, and we were tracking all of this data. And for even though we sort of stopped tracking that information, you could, like I said, it's still auditable, right? So let's check out one of those grants from there. So as you can see, we have these snapshots, which are, they contain a lot of different information, but ideally they are being sourced from like on-chain, off-chain. Like in this case, I think most of it is coming from some like off-chain database or like website. So this is ensuring that that project is doing what they're doing. And if there's any changes, that's being tracked. And even when we are not detecting any change, we're constantly snapshotting. So that becomes like an audit proof of sorts. So you can actually check out the proof here on an EVM transaction. So we're just doing it in a very simple sort of a dumb way right now. You can verify the IPFS CID, look at the timestamp. So to see a more sort of a complex example, let me see if I have that. Yeah. So we did this with Polymarket. It's a predictions market engine. You can place bets on futures. So this is something we'll be actively tracking through our version 1 very soon as well, but there's some data here that we can probably verify. So here we are doing a little more because we are interacting with multiple chains. So there's the ETH1 chain, there's Matic chain, where there's a lot of these trades happening. And similarly, we are doing the same thing, right? So we are capturing that snapshot, and instead of you having to sort of calculate the data that's on the smart contract or on IPFS and sort of mix and match and trust a sort of a random front end, we sort of help that using our thing. And similarly, we can check out the proof. I think we do a little more here. Yeah, there we go. So we sort of explain a bit more what we're doing here. There's a payload commit ID. Also, that's sort of the tentative block height, at which point the data was sort of pulled from let's say from, in this case, I think from a layer 2 chain. And then anything that's connected to the project. And more importantly, you're able to verify the timestamp at which it was done. So yeah, so those are a couple of prototypes. We're just like almost done with our new architecture. So we're going to be putting that out there. There's, feel free to check out our website. I'm just going to drop a couple of links after I'm done. And there's also this sort of a proposed workflow for turning what we have already built into a DAO. We would love to get some feedback from the community. We still are in a very, very early stage of it. But the goal is to work with developers, to work with DeFi projects. And we are already working with a bunch of them already, but we would love to help each and every one of you. So yeah, feel free to follow us on Twitter and on Discord. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Swaroop. If anyone has any questions for Swaroop, please put them in the chat and he will either answer them now or will answer them next time, because I know it is quite late for him. But yeah, otherwise just stay in touch via Twitter or their Slack channel as well. So thank you again, Swaroop. Okay, perfect. Next up, we have Masa. He is building institutional decentralized finance protocols for digital assets. He has been awarded prizes for the top DeFi project and the best ETH 2.0 and Live P2P projects at HackFS, and has completed the Tachyon Accelerator program by Consensus and Protocol Labs. He will be presenting right now on his company. So go ahead, Masa.
Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay. Again, hi, I'm Secure Finance co-founder, CEO of Masa. We're bringing the maturity and best practices of institutional finance into decentralized finance protocol. In short, we open up interbank market for everyone. These days, decentralized finance, so-called DeFi, is getting popular in blockchain space. But at the same time, we can see the limitations of the current DeFi. Have you ever heard of Filecoin DeFi? Or have you ever seen 3-year Filecoin forward rate? Today, I'm going to talk about institutional DeFi that opens up the full range of interbank market for digital currency, such as Filecoin. So what is the interbank market? Not many people know that the interbank market is decentralized. That's great, but only banks have access to the network. We want to open this market to everyone. Because there's no intermediary, such as centralized exchange, the transactions are bilateral and peer-to-peer basis. We call it OTC market. Examples of the OTC trades are loans, FX, swaps, forwards, and options, as we call derivatives. We hear more and more digital currency holders and investors want to have such professional financial solutions. The counterparty risk and the settlement risk are managed by middle office and back office in the bank. Each bank has its own system and database, which is not interoperable, and they're paying a lot of cost for system maintenance and security. For regulatory compliance, banks need to monitor and report on a manual basis, which is expensive. Okay, this is a brief summary of the interbank market. We wish banks can provide financial services for crypto assets too, but unfortunately, they cannot make it for a certain reason. Let me explain. Banks don't want to hold crypto assets in their balance sheets or trading book because of the international regulatory framework called Basel III. If banks hold crypto assets, the risk weight is 800%. To cover the volatility risk, they must reserve a tremendous amount of cash to maintain the capital adequacy ratio. Plus, they have to pay additional compliance costs. That's expensive. And that's the reason why banks don't want to provide full-scale crypto assets finance. This is a problem we want to solve, and our solution is to upgrade and open up the interbank market for everyone by developing an interbank-grade decentralized finance protocol. We can build better architecture on top of blockchain by replacing middle back office operations with smart contracts. I have 17 years of traditional finance experience, and I used to lead the derivative structuring department of one of the largest banks. And at the same time, I have a computer science background. So I was able to redesign the whole interbank operations as if it is a single global computer. The architecture is perfectly fit to the concept of Ethereum as the world computer. And thanks to the smart contracts, we can dramatically improve the transparency and efficiency of operations, reporting, and compliance. Let's see in more detail. Here's how we will upgrade the interbank market and provide services as institutional DeFi. The network architecture remains decentralized on a global scale. You just bring your own KYC address and start trading on a peer-to-peer market. Users can access institutional-grade financial products, and the counterparty risk is covered by collateral, which is managed by the smart contract. Because the entire system is deployed on a public blockchain, the system is always up to date and regulatory compliance can be automated. So those costs will be dramatically reduced. This is a concept of institutional DeFi. In essence, we enable investment bank grade, like Goldman Sachs grade financial solutions for digital currency. I'll talk about it later. To make this entire system working on the global computer, we created 3 kinds of smart contracts. Collateral contract manages users' collateral in Ethereum. Market contract makes order books. Long contract is used for checking payment schedules and updating present value for margin call operations. To summarize, we have native layer cross-chain settlement capability for any digital currency. We know that the institutions don't want wrapping and bridging solution because it adds additional security risk. So we build a native cross-currency settlement system. And we build the yield curve to give an accurate present value, which is the only way to manage long-term exchanges by margin call operations. I'll talk about yield curve shortly. And we want to be fully compatible with existing financial standard protocol, which is determined by ISDA, International Swaps and Derivatives Association. ISDA Master Agreement is the industry standard contract that governs all OTC derivative transactions. It is battle tested across the whole banking industry for 40 years, and our protocol is fully compatible with ISDA Master Agreement. There's no need to learn a complex protocol as long as you know ISDA standard. So you don't need to read a difficult white paper to integrate with existing finance banking workflows. Of course, we comply with financial regulations in the first place. In the next slide, I'll show you how big is the OTC derivatives market that underpins institutional finance world. According to BIS, Bank for Institutional Settlement, the decentralized peer-to-peer OTC derivative is by far the largest market. It has $582 trillion market size. There's also centralized markets, exchange-traded derivatives, such as futures and options has $65 trillion market size. Just for comparison, the world's GDP is $80 trillion. So you can see the scale of the derivatives business. In such a vast OTC derivatives market, 80% is the interest rates business, which is much bigger than FX or equity derivatives market. This is the potential we have never seen in the DeFi space. But you may have a question, why people in the world have to miss such a big business? There's so many DeFi projects that looks massively successful, but that's only the tip of the iceberg of the entire finance world. DeFi projects are finance babies. It's just a few $billion scale. For institutional finance, that's a single ticket size. Finance has $1 trillion scale. We bring this scale to the digital currency world. So what's the problem with the current DeFi? So the problem is that we don't have an interest rate derivatives market. In short, we don't have a yield curve for digital currency. Of course, we already have some interest rate business for crypto assets. Let's take a look. If you look at the lending service, centralized exchange provides short-term lending. The maturity is typically up to 90 days. Lending service is great because it gives a new profit source, which is fixed income interest rates. However, what's happening right now is only a scratch on the surface on the entire financial market. Like any other currency, we should be able to trade on longer maturity. In fact, this is a world we are going to build Bitcoin, USDT, Filecoin yield curve up to 5 years. Each curve has different shape, and we can provide $1 trillion scale opportunities for investment banking businesses. Without a yield curve, we can't do the interest rate derivative business. In finance, we have two types of financial markets: money market for less than 1 year and capital market for more than 1 year. Current DeFi players are building money market, and I think it is successful. And then the market is matured enough, so it's time to build capital market to complete the full scale of financial market. We know some projects are working on building yield curves. However, it is not as simple as money market, like making a pool for AMM to determine interest rates. In fact, it's a little bit difficult because there's a term structure of interest rates. We can't ignore the bond math theory. So we created Secure Finance to build the yield curve by bringing the best pieces of institutional wisdom to provide massive scale business opportunities for our users. Filecoin miners and investors are one of the most important users that we want to contribute as part of Filecoin ecosystem. From the next slide, I'll introduce two yield curves trading strategies for Filecoin. The first strategy is to reduce borrowing costs. This is purely for educational purpose, but assume that the Filecoin yield curve slopes downward. This assumption is based on the excess borrowing demand from Filecoin miners for a short-term period. Okay, for now, let's consider you want to borrow Filecoin for 2 years. Right now, there's no market who can lend Filecoin for 2 years, but you can borrow for 1 year. Let's assume the yield curve shape remains the same. 1 year later, one year rate remains 15%. So the 2-year total payment will be 30%. That's pretty high borrowing cost, and you want to reduce the amount. If you have access to Filecoin loan market, you can borrow with 5-year loan for 2 years. 5-year rate is fixed 5%. So the 2-year total payment will be 10%, which is much less than 30%. After 2 years, you no longer need Filecoin, so you want to unwind the loan or lend the Filecoin for 3 years. So 2 years later, you have a 3-year loan. If you assume the yield curve shape remains the same, 3-year loan rate on the market is 8%, which is 3% higher than your loan condition. So if you lend out the borrowed Filecoin, you can offset the rest of the loan payment and receive the 3% yield spread for 3 years, which is 9%. For total, you pay 10% and receive 9%. So the net borrowing cost is 1%. This strategy works if you believe the yield curve shape remains the same. For 1-year loan rolling, you need to pay 30% of total borrowing cost. On the other hand, you may switch to 5-year loan for 2 years, then your net payment to be 1%. So you can dramatically reduce the borrowing cost. So the second strategy is to profit making by yield curve play. You can aim for profit from the term structure of the yield curve. In this example, you can borrow Filecoin for 5 years and lend it for 1 year rolling to aim for a 10% yield spread. This can make an interest rate swap. Let's take a look step by step. First, you borrow Filecoin from the 5-year loan market. You should pay 5% for 5 years. So total payment amount will be 25%. Then you can invest the borrowed Filecoin into higher interest rates market. If you choose 1-year loan market to invest your Filecoin, you will receive 15%. If you can assume the yield curve shape remains the same, you would expect to receive 15% for 5 years. Then the total amount will be 75%. The point is, you don't know about the future 1-year rate, so it's called floating rate, as opposed to 5-year fixed rate of 5%. In this strategy, you borrow Filecoin and you lend the same amount of Filecoin. Technically, both pay and receive amount will offset. So on the net basis, there's no need for Filecoin initial payment. We only exchange interest rates. That's why we call it an interest rate swap. In this 5-year swap example, you pay fixed 5-year rate, which is 5% every year, and you receive floating 1-year rate where you expect 15% every year. On the net basis, you expect to receive 10% yield spread for 5 years. This is very powerful as it does not require the notional exchange. The system will still require collateral, but it provides very effective collateral usage. I guess now you want to see how it works in our platform, right? So here's a web app. This panel is for the loan market making. Once it's taken, you go to history panel and select the loan and click the button to actually lend out. Then if you click the loan item, the loan detail will show up. It has coupon payment button and all the payment schedule. We also have FX block trade panel where you can switch between historical price view to yield curve view. So our web app is like a Bloomberg terminal for decentralized finance. Currently, we are working on improving our protocol to fully compatible with existing international financial standard. So please stay tuned. We're going to launch the test pilot program, and we would like to invite Filecoin community at the earliest timing. And how to join the test pilot program? Well, we have Filecoin loan market survey for you. If you want to join our test pilot program, please give it your email address so we can send you an invitation to the test pilot program as soon as we are ready. So thank you very much, and we're looking forward to seeing you on our Discord channel. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Masa. If you have any links that you would like to share with the community, please put them in the chat. That would be wonderful and very helpful. And so generous of you to invite the community to participate at such an early stage. That's amazing. Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Raquel. Raquel just put all of the links in the chat. So that's wonderful. Okay. And we have one presenter left. It is Juan Hernandez. Juan is the CEO at Curio. He is a serial entrepreneur with 20 plus years of experience in fintech, all assets and exchanges. He's the former CEO at Open Finance, the first US security token trading platform. Juan got his degree in computer science and MBA from Northwestern University. So Juan, please take it away.
Great, thank you. Screen. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, thanks for the intro. Yes, as I mentioned, Curio, we are an NFT platform and exchange. Unlike a lot of the other NFT platforms are out there, we focus on providing a curated experience for our users, and specifically curated content within. There you go. Within the media and entertainment industry. So what that means is we work with our brand partners across movie, TV shows, music, and graphic novel industry to create officially licensed NFTs. So here's an example of some of the recent NFT collections that we dropped on our platform. We worked with Universal Pictures on the re-release of Scott Pilgrim versus the World for their 10th anniversary. We've worked with Fremantle Productions on the TV show American Gods that aired on Starz and Amazon Prime overseas, as well as with various graphic novel companies such as Concrete Park, Heavy Metal, and others. And so our big focus is not so much on creating one-of-one type items. It's really more about the fan engagement and the fan experience. So we like to say that we're redefining what the future of fandom looks like, and how content creators are able to connect directly with their fan base and how they can engage their fans at a much deeper level. But we aim to be the leading NFT platform for this type of experience, for this type of relationship, that direct two-way connectivity that blockchain, NFT technology, and other items can provide. So we do this via a number of ways. Obviously on our platform, our Drops platform, we also have an exchange, as I mentioned, working with various ecosystem players, including Matic, as Swaroop touched on earlier, and Filecoin, obviously, the IPFS. We've also, we do build on mainnet with our own custom ERC-721 contracts. And what we focus on a lot is not just providing experience for crypto users, but also for non-crypto users, so mainstream users that are not necessarily accustomed to all the intricacies of dealing with blockchain technology. So Our onboarding experience is very easy for both crypto and non-crypto users. You have options to pay in fiat or in crypto, so you can pay with a credit card. We also provide a wallet and non-wallet experience. So for non-crypto participants who may not have their MetaMask set up yet, we do provide an ability for them to get their first taste, their first NFT, and then they can then ease into sort of having full sovereignty over all of their items. As mentioned, we do provide curated premium content. We work with our brand partners to create officially licensed NFTs, and we're able to do so because of our deep network within the entertainment industry. Obviously, I think we've all seen digital collectibles explode. Just in the first half of this year alone, just tremendous growth across the board. I think for most folks who have been involved in the blockchain industry, these numbers should not be surprising. In fact, many of you probably expect these numbers should be higher, and we'll see where they're at year's end. There's been an evolution in the NFT market over the last couple of years, and again, just over the last 6 months, just a huge explosion. But it harkens all the way back to CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, still going strong in the NFT market. And then over the last year or so, the NBA Top Shot certainly took the market by storm. We've seen Tops and other media and entertainment companies start to dabble, but it really wasn't until this year where now this is just top of mind with all media and entertainment companies, big and small. There's task forces being set up within these companies. There are individual artists who are trying their hand at the NFT market, and then there's larger organized plays that are happening now at a lot of the major studios that we're in discussions with. But what's interesting to see is that evolution, and this is where we think the market is going. Today the NFT is still very much just a static collectible. So a crypto kitty that sits there and looks really cool, but doesn't do too much more of anything. And for us, kind of how we see that experience evolving. Today we think we're in phase one. We're just digitizing these analog items, them being collectibles and making digital versions of them. But then from there, you can really start to see how that NFT becomes not just a static object, but instead a dynamic passport, if you will, that allows you to unlock new experiences that weren't previously possible before the advent of blockchain and NFT technology. So we think about the NFT providing you exclusive access to online content. Or pointing you to specific IPFS hashes that are only available to NFT holders. And so that's where we see the market going in the short-term future. And then longer term, really, it becomes a distribution channel of sorts. And that's where it gets exciting to work with networks and platforms like IPFS, where these brand partners can really start to leverage this decentralized network to distribute content direct to their fans and connect in a different way, that rather than just having it be a one-way channel where the content creator just pushes media to you. Now it becomes a two-way avenue where the fans can consume this content, can remix it, can send it back, and start to play with it, and all of this can happen on this open network. So that's where we think it gets really exciting just over the longer term, and where we see NFTs play out over a broader horizon. Today we have a drop going now again with American Gods. This is season 2 now. This again was a TV show that aired on Stars and Amazon Prime. And what's really exciting there is to work directly with IP owners and content creators on taking this this fan these fan favorite characters and creating digital items out of them that really let the fans connect and engage in a whole new way. So that's where it gets really exciting. But again, it's still sort of that early days. What's the expression? It's still just the first inning of the game here. And so for us, it's exciting to see where this plays out. It's exciting to see, working with our partners, at Protocol Labs, on devising new use cases for IPFS where we can create that direct relationship between content owners and fans. And so that's all I had prepared for today. I will pass it back to Emily.
Thank you so much, Juan. It's so exciting to see all the work that Curio is doing with NFTs and incorporating Filecoin and IPFS. It's fascinating, especially in such an innovative space right now. So everyone, that was pretty short and sweet today. That concludes the June Filecoin Community Meetup. Thank you, as always, to all of our amazing speakers for taking the time to share your expertise and your projects with us, and especially for displaying what an amazing ecosystem that we are building together. As always, if you would like to stay up to date on the latest Filecoin news and events, please sign up for the Filecoin Slack and also the Filecoin newsletter. And please subscribe to the Filecoin YouTube channel, all linked in the chat. And if you want to share any of these presentations from today, that recording will be up at the latest tomorrow. So thank you again for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you all at the next virtual meetup in June on the 13th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much. Talk soon.